Jim, there's big news in the civic sector in St. Louis. Five of our leading sort of business nonprofit organizations are joining to form to become one and to try to better coordinate the region's approach to to economic development on the private sector side.
Well, to me, this is rearranging basically some old and decrepit deck chairs. They don't seem to be very effective as they are now. Maybe putting them together might be improvement. I don't know.
Well, that's true. We've had problems under the current structure. I mean, if you look at St. Louis, we've got so many municipalities and local government entities. On the government side, we're extremely fragmented. On the private sector side, we've also been fragmented, and we've had all these entities doing kind of pieces of the effort of promoting and improving St. Louis, but no one board coordinating the whole thing. And this is an effort to change that. And we have had some dysfunction, as you allude to. The regional chamber under its former president Joe Reagan had some problems, lost a lot of key staffers, had some lawsuits. The chamber at one time was sort of the convening organization for economic development. It's kind of ceded that role. Civic Progress decades ago was the voice of the corporate sector in St. Louis. The CEO of our biggest company, Centene, just resigned from Civic Progress a few months ago. So they've really, not been filling their traditional role anymore either.
Well, with Civic Progress, what happened is basically the movers and shakers basically merged with out-of-town companies. We don't have McDonnell Douglas here anymore. The big banks, the major banks used to be all concentrated, owned and operated out of St. Louis, and now they're operated out of Minneapolis, and Charlotte, and heaven knows where else. So you don't have that coterie of big, powerful businessmen who are all that interested in developing St. Louis. Civic Progress has basically faded away. Once a powerful organization did some progress, it's practically disappeared.
Yeah, to their credit, I think they realize that sort of the nature of the corporate sector has changed. We're not as much of a headquarters town as we were when Anheuser-Busch and May department stores and Ralston Purina and all those companies were led by local CEOs, many of whom grew up here and had deep roots here, and could write a check essentially for anything the region needed. So to its credit, I think Civic Progress realizes that times have changed, and that the sort of the structure at the top of the civic sector needed to change to reflect that.
So if you take these moderately effective to ineffective organizations, combine them into one, do you have an effective organization? I mean,
I certainly think the potential is there. It's all in the execution, of course. I mean, you could have a lineup in baseball that looks great on paper, but if nobody can hit the ball, you get nowhere. So I think the potential is there. It's going to be all about the execution, but I do think people like Andy Taylor, the head of Enterprise, chairman, is very, very committed to this. He's been one of the people pushing to make this happen. I think we've got a chance to sort of fix some of the problems that have plagued us for the last few years. And this is modeled on best practices in other cities, including Pittsburgh, Indianapolis. A few cities have been very successful with this sort of unified model. So I'm hopeful.
Well, we get the Regional Chamber and Growth Association, which is the region's chamber of commerce, uniting with Civic Progress, Alliance St. Louis, which is kind of an offshoot of the chamber, Arch to the Park, downtown St. Louis, all getting together. One group that's missing, which is the Regional Business Council. What's up? What's up with
Well,
that?
that's true. And the Regional Business Council was formed about 20 years ago, I believe, to represent the interests of sort of mid-sized companies. And I think the more entrepreneurial sector, sort of privately held businesses wanted a civic vehicle that would give them a voice similar to that of Civic Progress for large companies. So now Civic Progress is merging into this group, but the RBC is not. They say they'll cooperate. I would like to hope that maybe over time, as they work together, they'll realize that they could be a part of this too.
Well, the Regional Business Council was formed because the mid-sized businesses and the little guys thought their voice was being drowned out by the big guys. And obviously, if they're still worried about that, or they'd be merging, that's what I would think. I don't know.
I think they are still worried about that, and there's history there, as you say. But the groups say they'll work together. We'll take them at their word until we see otherwise. And I know this new merged entity says they're all about inclusive growth, which means all kinds of companies, means the growth that lifts up all segments of the community. So I think it's going to be important to watch what they do on the diversity front as well.
Yeah. Well, the regional chamber right now acts as, a cheerleader for the region, among businesses who think they might want to move here, expand their offices here. They ask as a lobby for the business community, pushing for limits on lawsuits and, better infrastructure, better roads, things like that. Even if you put all these business groups together, we're still going to be divided on economic development because the city and county have their own government economic development agency. St. Charles has, Metro East has, and they still kind of compete against each other, and we're still going to be.
Well, they do, but this private sector entity will give them a place to all come to the same table and kind of figure out what goals and needs they have in common, and all the advocacy functions of the chamber will still be there, and inside the new organization, all of the promoting downtown functions will still be there, because an important urban core is vital to the region's future. The alliance will still be selling St. Louis to companies that might be expanding or relocating. None of those functions go away, but it should happen in a more coordinated fashion, and a group that can really bring everybody to the table.
So it'll function a little bit better than this divided situation we have now. I'm not expecting any great gains from it.
Well, I'm hoping we get more than a little bit better. We need a lot better in St. Louis.